is very clearly just not watching basketball. Is just not watching basketball at all, which is awful. But let's take a listen. This is going to be on 1.5 times speed, purely because I don't want to spend this entire video just watching an ESPN show. I would rather get some reactions in, because if you want to watch the ESPN show, you can do it on your own time.
We all know about Caitlin Clark's superstardom. Monica McNutt, around the horn to you. What does playoffs mean for this franchise? And for fun, give me the pie chart of where the credit lies.
Ooh, the pie chart zone. Okay, first of all, for this franchise, I mean, the Fever have been in purgatory. You mentioned it for...
A recent segment on ESPN's Around the Horn sparked discussion after panelists debated how much credit Caitlin Clark deserves for the Indiana Fever's turnaround this season. The panel, led by Monica McNutt, broke down what the team's return to the postseason means after a lengthy playoff drought dating back to their 2012 championship run.
Okay, first of all, for this franchise, I mean, the Fever have been in purgatory. You mentioned it for 7-8 years in terms of not getting to the postseason after being the champion of the league in 2012 behind Tamika Catchings. This is huge for this franchise. They are obviously moving in the right direction. And when you look at it, teams that have the opportunity to draft the #1 overall pick in back-to-back years, they go on to win championships in about a 4-year window. Seattle did it twice, and the Aces also did it with KP Asia and Jackie Young. Now,
You say that, but like, let's just say hypothetically, Caitlin Clark doesn't come out. She does her 5th year, and you draft Camila Cardoso and Aaliyah Boston. This is not a playoff team.
McNutt opened by noting that franchises awarded back-to-back top overall draft picks have historically gone on to build championship rosters within a few years, pointing to past examples in league history. She argued that without Clark specifically falling to this roster, Indiana likely wouldn't have made the leap this season, suggesting that other available draft outcomes at that pick, even strong prospects, wouldn't have produced the same turnaround.
Camila Cardoso and Aaliyah Boston. This is not a playoff team. You draft Camila Cardoso 1, you draft Cameron Brink 1. This is not a playoff team. It's just not. So, like, they would probably, like, I'm not joking, they would probably be on track for back-to-back-to-back #1s if Caitlin Clark was not the #1 pick this year. Heck, or let's just say hypothetically, who was the #2 pick in 2023? I don't even know who the #2 pick was in this draft. It was Diamond Miller.
She emphasized that landing a franchise-level talent isn't guaranteed just because a team holds a high pick, citing examples of other top selections across the league that didn't pan out as expected. When it came to distributing credit for the team's success, the panel debated coaching, roster depth, and Clark's individual impact.
Let's just say you end up with, I don't know, let's say Aaliyah Boston goes for a 5th year. Let's say Aaliyah goes for a 5th year, and then you end up getting Diamond Miller instead of Aaliyah Boston. Or you get like Maddie Segrist. Like, Lou went 5th in last year's draft. Heck, Grace Berger was a top pick. Jordan Horston went 9th. That is kind of crazy. But, like, you have to get lucky. You can go back-to-back #1s, and you can still get, like...
Some credit was given to head coach Christy Sidwell for turning things around despite early season struggles that had fans calling for a coaching change. But the larger share of the conversation focused on Clark, with panelists citing her chemistry with teammate Aaliyah Boston in pick-and-roll situations, a career year from guard Kelsey Mitchell, and improved play across the roster.
Still get, like, bad draft picks. Like, there's no guarantee that you're going to get a good draft. Like, you could end up with Charlie Collier at #1. Like, you could end up being like the Fever, where your first pick in 2021 is, like, Gondrzik. Like, he was not even on a roster right now.
Now, to the very difficult pie chart, you got to give Christy Side some credit, because people were ready to fire her 3 games.
I still think firing Christy Side 3 games in, if you got a good coach, would have actually been long-term beneficial.
Estimates of Clark's overall contribution to the turnaround varied throughout the discussion, ranging from roughly 50 to 90% depending on the panelist. One analyst drew a comparison to Steve Nash's impact on the Phoenix Suns' up-tempo system, suggesting that Clark's presence functions less as an individual scoring threat and more as a system-altering force that opposing defenses simply can't contain, regardless of whether they manage to limit her individually.
Coach would have actually been long-term beneficial. But again, I don't think she's losing them games anymore.
Of course you're going to give Caitlin Clark credit, because she's been spectacular and exceeded expectations. The pick and roll between Caitlin and Aaliyah has been fantastic. Kelsey Mitchell is having a career year, and all of those role players get a slice. I don't know quite how.
Well, that's a lot of pieces. I get you. But there's got to be one big slice, and that's Clark. What percentage are we talking about for Caitlin Clark? 80%, 90%, 95%?
I mean, listening to her all season long, I've called a couple of their games. She's team first. Statistically, you're probably looking at least 60%. But she's absolutely going to give the credit to her teammates for catching those passes so that they can.
All right, Tinsley, give me
60, I think, is a bit low. And the reason is that I like it.
That same analyst noted Clark is on pace to break historical assist-related records at a faster rate than any player before her. Other panelists pushed back on assigning Clark too much individual credit, framing the turnaround as more of a full team effort, pointing to the roster's improved play following a mid-season stretch, along with league-leading scoring, three-point shooting, and offensive efficiency numbers since early August.
And the reason is that I liken her impact on a team to what Steve Nash did for 7 seconds or less sun. Is that I think Caitlin Clark, the player, isn't as big of like an impact as Caitlin Clark, the system. I think the Caitlin Clark system is unguardable. I think sometimes you can stop Caitlin Clark, the player, but I don't think you can stop Caitlin Clark, the system. I genuinely don't think you can stop Caitlin Clark, the system. So, yeah, like...
Still, it was noted that much of Kelsey Mitchell's improved shot selection and efficiency appeared directly tied to the offensive system built around Clark, with one panelist estimating that roughly 90% of the team's overall improvement stemmed from that system shift rather than any single player's individual production. The conversation grew more heated when discussing defense.
So, yeah, like, and Caitlin Clark, the player, is unbelievable, as you can see. She is more than likely going to have the all-time record in 2010 assist games in her first season. So she's 4 more in her last 6 games and in the playoffs. So let's just say hypothetically they go 3 games in the playoffs. So she has got 9 games to do it 4 more times. And she's what? And the fact is that how many 20 points and 9 assist games she had? How many 19-point, 10 assist games she had? Like,
one panelist argued the Fever's defensive numbers have improved significantly since a historically poor start to the season, while another strongly disagreed, arguing the team doesn't have a real defensive identity at all, describing their approach as simply overloading the interior and relying on opponents missing open three-point shots, rather than actively contesting the perimeter. That panelist pointed to specific games, including matchups against the Liberty, Storm, and Sparks, where opponents got largely uncontested looks but simply didn't convert at a high rate.
Corrupt WNBA system, and now she's the managing director for the USA women's national team. In other words, the Olympics. I got to tell you, and let me just say this. Caitlin Clark really has not been right at all, particularly shooting and from an injury standpoint, ever since that Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles, we haven't put enough emphasis on her.
The other panelist countered that framing, pointing to actual defensive rating data, noting the team began the season with one of the worst defensive ratings in league history through their first 9 games, but has significantly improved since, now ranking closer to middle of the pack. The explanation offered was that Indiana's improved offensive efficiency creates a compounding effect, scoring more limits opposing transition opportunities, which in turn reduces the number of quality looks the defense has to give up.
We haven't put enough emphasis on her now that other angles are available. And in my opinion, it looks like she punched Caitlin Clark in the back. That's my opinion. That's what I see. All right? She can laugh it off, blah, 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 and I'm sure she is laughing it off. I would say because she doesn't want to retort from the WNBA, but Kathy Engelbert is spineless. And let me be honest, so is Adam Silver. Adam Silver, you look spineless because you refused.
The debate ultimately came down to differing interpretations of whether the improved defensive numbers reflect genuine schematic improvement or simply the byproduct of a much improved offense, limiting opponents' easy scoring chances. A clip from a podcast hosted by Sue Bird and Tina Charles drew criticism online after the two discussed and laughed about a physical altercation involving Caitlin Clark during a game earlier in the season.
Adam Silver, you look spineless because you refuse to get involved here. And I think Kathy Engelbert is taking the opinion of all this drama is a great thing for the league because it gets the conversation going. Is it? Because I can tell you right now, with Caitlin Clark fans, there's going to be a tipping point where it goes to the other direction. And that other direction is, bleep this league. We're out. We're tired of watching the person we want to support.
In the clip, Bird and Charles reviewed footage from the incident, in which Clark was involved in contact with opposing players, including Marina Mabrey. The host discussed the sequence of events, with some viewers interpreting their tone as dismissive of the physicality Clark experienced during the play.
Get the shit beat out of them during these games. I mean, honestly. And sometimes I wonder, with these games that Caitlin Clark has missed, has there been some thought of just quitting this league? I mean, I can only imagine being Caitlin Clark's parents. Remember, at the very beginning of the season, in the preseason, they interviewed her father, Holly Rowe.
Following the podcast release, some fans circulated additional camera angles from the original incident, arguing the footage showed more significant contact than had been acknowledged on the podcast.
Holly Rowe did, in the crowd, and he brought up his daughter and the physicality of the league, what the league calls physicality, what we call beating the shit out of Caitlin Clark. He brought it up. He said the refs aren't doing their jobs. They're not regulating the sport. You know, this is a major, major topic in the Clark family household.
The clip and the surrounding reaction sparked broader online debate about how physical play involving Clark has been officiated and discussed throughout the season, with some critics calling for stronger enforcement from league officials and others defending the play as a normal part of competitive basketball.
I mean, this has got to be rough watching this. You see this comment, hugely disappointed and lost all respect for both Sue Bird and Tina Charles. How is this okay? Question mark. Caitlin, don't play in the Olympics if Sue has anything to do with it. Well, she's going to have everything to do with it. She's the managing director, and that's not going to change. I can tell you right now.
But insert pictures here. I sent you these pictures after.
Bird currently serves as managing director for the USA Women's National Team, a role that includes involvement in roster decisions for future international competitions, including the Olympics.
Going to change. I can tell you right now.
But insert pictures here. I sent you these pictures after, the big, the scrum, Connecticut Sun.
That's the pictures you show? That's it. That's it. We'll look at some pictures in a minute, but I can see why you didn't include them, because y'all ain't gonna be able to get such a big kick out of these other ones, or maybe you will, actually, to be honest with you. But that's just because of how I think this league gets down. They don't like Caitlin Clark.
Some commentators speculated about how the dynamic between Bird and Clark might affect future national team selections, though no official statements addressing that question have been made.
Like Caitlin Clark, I'm starting to think there's two players that like Caitlin Clark, if you want to know the absolute truth. Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull. There are times I feel like, if I'm being real, that her own teammates, a lot of them, don't like her. In my honest opinion, I don't think Natasha Howard likes her. I don't think Sydney Colson likes her. She certainly doesn't respect her, or she wouldn't have been trying to butt effort.
The broader incident has become part of an ongoing conversation this season about physical contact directed at Clark during games, how it has been officiated, and how players, coaches, and media have responded to it.